Hello and welcome. I'm Master Lama Rasaji, and this is our Tuesday edition of Rasaji Speaks. Don't forget, it's not too late to sign up for tonight's live class with Master David, which is 9 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, and 6 o'clock Pacific Time. So don't forget it, right? Today's title is very interesting title, and we're going to call it Earth Fury, the cleansing power of storms. Well, recently it's fitting, right? We've had Helene and we've had Milton, right? I had a grandfather named Milton. He was definitely a holy terror. And I had a cousin. His name was Milton, and he used to call him Milty for short. And it's interesting that Florida got two of these in 2 weeks, right? Well, it's interesting what happened. Remember, this thing started out at 180-mile-an-hour storm. I'm talking about Milton, right? And it came across the Gulf, dropped to 155, increased again up to 185. Now that's tornado strength wind, right? But it had a shear coming in from the top. So the Lamasery and myself, with the help of Archangel Michael, his warrior angels, and Hanuman, began to strip and tear at the storm. The storm was naturally motivated, but it was also partially AI motivated. And the target initially was for Mar-a-Lago. I wonder why that was the case. Getting the whiff of that from an intelligent organization, number 45 was in Pennsylvania when that was happening. Smart move, Mr. President. Very smart. Counsel. But as it began to approach, it began to lose its strength because of the shear. And once it did finally make land, it really tore itself apart. When it finally hit, it was just a little over 100 miles an hour. As it began to drift, Michael came to me and asked me, would I absorb a part of the storm? There's only been a couple times that he's asked me to do that. Normally, I'm being asked to redirect it, to push it. But if I was able to absorb it and take the brunt of the force going north, usually they go east and southeast. So when a front's coming across the Gulf, it'll usually go directly, push right in front of it, and then slightly down southeast. So east to southeast. This went, if you retrace the pattern, this went east, and then it changed to east northeast. And then once it got to land, Lamaji turned on a vacuum cleaner and began to suck it more northern to keep more of our people and stuff at bay. And it scattered the storm and it weakened the storm. And it was amazing. Yes, there's property loss which can be replaced, but thank God that all of our people were safe, and that's the most important thing, because we have work to do. We have work to do. And a lot of things are at play in this process. In other words, what is the karma of an area? And what is that karma of that area 100 years or the last 100 to 200 years? That's important. Sometimes the area is before the buildings were even built, right? What's the karma of the state in that area? In other words, what was it doing 50, 100, 150, 200 years ago? Do we know, right? Florida has had a lot of emphasis. Lamaji has been here since the 60s, since 1966. My family relocated here from Nashville, Tennessee. I was only 10 years old when that happened. I remember before we got here hearing about this thing called hurricanes. I remember in those days I was very fearful. So the idea of all this wind and all this rain. But as I had more and more out of the body experiences with the angelic kingdom, and I started more understanding 4D and how it operates and how it influences 3D immensely, and how the energy body of everything. So you have to understand humans are not the only ones that have energy bodies. We're not the only one that has a 4D body. Every tree, every form of life in nature has a 4D body, has an energy field, a superimpression of the image of the creator. It also enjoys. Animal kingdom's the same. Vegetable kingdom is the same. So is it the same in air, water, storm, and all the elements of nature. Things are conjured up a lot in 4D to superimpress things in 3D. And you just have to contemplate this last few months and understand, why is it important for 45 not to return back to office, right? When people seek power over service, there's always problems. I say this again. When people seek power for power itself over service, because a public servant is supposed to be, who is the most public servant? The person who has lived their life on the back of the government their whole adult life and spent quite a bit of time on her back, right? If you catch my drift, to get there. That you and me and other American citizens paid for with our tax dollars, right? Or how about an entrepreneur that had bankruptcy 2 different times because of his own death urge, but found a way to overcome that? Who doesn't need to take a dime for the government, nor does he want the government to take much of your dimes. Don't need the job, has more power in the world and influence than 98% of people on the planet, has more wealth on the planet than 99.5% of the people on the planet. When you look at Robert Kiyosaki and understand about 2 decades ago, they did a video and audio tape together, Donald Trump and Kiyosaki. Very few people have heard that tape. But in there, they talk about leverage and duplication, and they talk about fair trade. And his principles have been the same since the 1970s. And in the 1980s, when he's becoming very, very popular, they're interviewing him. He said, if you were to become president, sir, what would you do? He did most of that from 2016 to 2020. And what did he do? What really, really did he do? Well, he decided to treat America like he's treated his business, and that is take care of family first, take care of your business and mission first, and then his mission became take care of America first. And a lot of globalists that believe in one world government and one world influence, that are very socialistic and communistic in nature, they don't like him there. Think about this. According to the statistics, job growth in this country the last year has been about 2 to 3 million jobs. And that's kind of a mediocre, moderate growth year for jobs in America. But then they found out just 6 weeks ago that 815,000 jobs were, there was a mathematical error. Now, ever since they've done the job reports for 40 or 50 years, there's never been an 815,000 error. So you have to ask yourself, why was that number inflated? Was that consciously with specific intention? Or was it just lack of knowledge? Or were they just incompetent? Right? When you look at more than 40 to 50% of the jobs that have been created, they fall into two categories that actually feed one another. Number one is government. The government has blown up more than double than it was 4 years ago. The other is healthcare. And where does a lot of funding come from to healthcare? The government. And when COVID was around, what were they doing? They were paying hospitals and medical care people a bonus on reporting that people had the big sick. So in every category, the economy's been falsified. And then on top of it, they're talking about taking more money out of your pocket. Well, they've been taking 20 to 30 cents on a dollar out of your pocket, and they call the unconscious tax inflation. Look at the price of gold. Wasn't too long ago, right? The gold was $1,800 an ounce, $2,500 an ounce. Now, that's one of the most key symbols of inflation. Look at crypto. Look what's happened to Bitcoin. In the same period of time, Bitcoin was selling for $17,000 to $18,000 a coin. Now the bottom looks like it's at 60,000, trading between 60 and 65,000. And they say in the next couple of years, it'll hit 150,000. Lamaji says, you won't be surprised, but in 5 or 10 years, a Bitcoin will be selling for $1 million a coin. What does that mean? Writings on the wall of an attempt to have global domination from the dark side and what a lot of people refer to as deep state. There's one person standing in their way, and he's a soldier. He's a spiritual patriot. He has done this before during the Civil War, and he's come back to set the record straight, to do it again. There's a week or two from now that you're going to have a chance to go to the ballot box. What are you going to do? And why would you vote for one or the other? Well, we talk about in Tai Chi Gong and what we teach at the circleofchi.com is that in our soul, we are free. Free indeed, we should and shall be. If I go to punch the button, color a swinging tab, or whatever, check off a box, why would I check one box over the other? What would be the most significant reason that I would check this box? The inalienable rights and the pursuit of happiness. Who is going to give you? who is likely the next 4 years to give you that? Who is going to teach you how to protect yourself, protect your borders, lower interest rates, increase fuel production to offset inflation, because fuel is tied to everything, the delivery of merchandise, the delivery of food. Who is honoring more in our soul we are free? Who believes in the Constitution of this country and not trying to challenge it and strip it down, but trying to actually enforce it, stand by it, stand the test of time, like the Patriots did in the 17th century when they produced a document called the Declaration of Independence. Everything about this republic now is being challenged. All the countries look at us as the shining light on a hill, the New Jerusalem. So it's pretty simple to choose. But remember, people can only choose to the level of consciousness they have. I know what my choice is. My wife knows what her choice is. Even Chin, who's 14 years old, if he could vote, he knows what his choice is. What's going to be your choice, right? What's going to be your choice when you go there? And that will turn the tide. And it'll make our mission here at COC. See, once Lamaji by Archangel Michael was asked to suck the life out of a dark storm. You know what I mean, suck the life? So when you're bitten by a snake and the venom goes in, what is the most basic thing you do? You lance the wound and you suck the venom out of it. It's perfect because this is the year of the snake, don't you think? I think it's perfect for that whole cause. And then you absorb the flow. Then you absorb it. It's very interesting that that's what happened to Milton. So I want to say thank you, Lord, and thank you, God, for protecting all of our people at COC, just like you did in North Carolina with Helene, and just like you did in Florida with Milton. And Hanuman says to all of you shenanigans people in 3D and 4D, Hanuman says, is that all you got? Is that the best you can do? Baraka Bashai. May the blessings be to you and to your glorious family. Don't forget to tell Master Dave at Lamaji said hello. Looking forward to seeing all of you in Nashville. Today starts live streaming, early bird special for the Saturday live streaming broadcast in Nashville. If you don't plan on being there in the physical, we definitely want you there in the spiritual, and we definitely want you live streaming because it's going to be, as the kids say, it's going to be the bomb. It's going to be the bomb. God bless you all. Love you much.